Tonight, KFDM News is digging into an audit showing nearly 2,000 people across the country earning a six-figure income but living in public housing. Good evening, I'm Greg Kerr.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Tiffany Murphy. Some of those families live right here in Texas. Tonight, KFDM News has learned the Department of Housing and Urban Development is outlining a plan to address what some call an unfair advantage. KFDM's Haley Bull has spent weeks investigating. She joins us live tonight from the Beaumont Housing Authority. Haley, how could this impact local housing authorities like ours?
Well, Tiffany, this department is one of thousands across the country. HUD is asking to reduce the number of families making more than the income limit. Now, Beaumont's executive director says they're looking into it, but the request isn't as cut and dried as it may appear.
We're analyzing all of this.
Robert Reyna is the Beaumont Housing Authority Executive Director. He's one of countless other heads of public housing programs with this letter in hand from HUD.
When we first got that, and in fact their reminder letter last month, we were very wary about that.
A letter in response to this audit from the department's Office of Inspector General. It shows thousands of families making more than the income limit to live in public housing, most by just a few $1,000s, others by more than $100,000. The result, according to the audit, HUD paying more than $100 million during the next year for over-income families. KFDM News has obtained a statement the department released, reading in part, quote, as a result, HUD is taking additional steps to encourage housing authorities to establish policies that will reduce the number of over-income families in public housing.
It's a double-edged sword here because you bring them in, you encourage them to do better, and then all of a sudden you've done better, now you got to go. Well, some families need a little time to stabilize.
Reyna says there's no requirement for housing authorities to evict a tenant for making more than the income limit. In fact, keeping working families in public housing can help offset cuts from Washington.
If it's not a requirement sometimes, it's not in the best financial interest of an agency to implement a policy like that.
The audit points out guidance from nearly a decade ago, allowing public housing authorities to create policies to evict some families making more than the limit. A HUD spokesman says not many housing authorities exercise that option.
Does Beaumont Housing Authority have one of those policies?
Not at this time.
Reyna says the Beaumont Housing Authority is looking at adopting policies, but would like to see more guidance from HUD. Its letter reads in part, quote, HUD strongly encourages PHAs to utilize the discretion available to them to remove extremely over-income families from public housing.
If we were to implement a plan like that, and that family challenged us, they could claim discrimination, they could claim harassment, they could claim they're being punished for doing exactly what HUD is telling a housing authority to do.
A spokesman for HUD says they'll evaluate plans public housing authorities come up with and follow up. Now, the goal isn't to get rid of families who are just above the threshold, but those families who are grossly over the income limit. To read more of the response, visit KFDM.com shortly after this newscast. Reporting live in Beaumont, Haley Bull, KFDM 6 News.